Hello and welcome to India Ideas, the weekly show which is all about science and tech, innovation and entrepreneurship. I am Gautam Roy. The consecration of the Sri Ram temple in Ayodhya has led to a flood of tourists visiting the holy city. Over 300,000 pilgrims bowed to the deity on the first day when the temple was thrown open to visitors, a day after the inauguration, and an equal number were estimated to have got left outside in the city waiting for their turn. This has brought to the fore the potential of rising spiritual or religious tourism in India and how it can be capitalized upon by India's travel tech startups. That's our showcase today. Well, there are nearly 1,500 travel tech startups in India which enable planning and booking of travel services, apart from those which assist travel service providers with technology solutions. All of them, and some others as well, which can provide tech solutions to tourists, are looking at the juicy prospect of rising religious or spiritual tourism in India in the wake of the Ayodhya Sri Ram temple inauguration on the 22nd of this month. Some data sets suggest searches for temple destinations have gone up by over 300% in the last 2 years. 60% of travel in India is in the spiritual or religious category, and religious places earned $16.2 billion in 2022. So how are India's travel tech startups taking advantage of this increasing bounty? Let's find out today with Ashish Sidra, co-founder Alike.io, which says it's the world's first creator economy-based platform for travel bookings. Prabhat Verma is with us as well, founder of Be Travel, which is an experienced curator and trip planner for the discerning traveler. And we also have Ankit Chaturvedi with us, VP and Global Head Marketing, RateGain, which provides SaaS solutions for travel and hospitality businesses across 100 plus countries and to all the leading hotels and OTAs. Welcome to you all. First to you, Ashish. Tell us a little bit more about Alike.io, because it has a slightly different proposition compared to other travel platforms because of its creator economy-based approach, which could be leveraged for garnering clientele interested in spiritual or religious travel as well.
Namaskar, Gautam. Alike indeed is a slightly different take, and it is based on the basic premise that when we travel, we follow what our fellow relatives and friends are doing. So travel like the people you like. We believe that when we travel, we go and see on YouTube, we go and see on Instagram what others are doing, and we take comfort in those experiences, and we plan our travel accordingly. At Alike, we believe this is exactly what will help people traveling to this high growth scene of religious and spiritual marketing, where people want to know, if I'm going to Ayodhya, what facilities are available, how will I go about once I have landed there, how crowded it is going to be. If we combine all of these, imagine somebody who has already visited Ayodhya and is posting this content on platforms like Alike. Others are are taking advantage of this content and then can book the same experiences on platforms like Alike. So we as startups, and especially on the model we bring the comfort of awareness, comfort of discovery, and comfort of knowing exactly what I will be doing when I reach in this spiritual place, and we help them book these places and the experiences right on the platform at Alike.
Right. Now, Prabhat, your platform is meant for discerning travelers looking for curated experiences. The perception is that spiritual and religious tourism is more mass-oriented. Are you looking at ways to provide offbeat, curated and differentiated experience in this arena?
Thanks, Gautam. Well, to tell you the truth, actually it's going to be a little challenge for us, because as the name goes, we have been actually taking people to places where not many people go. So all our campaigns in the past have been, about going to a place where your neighbors or your friends or your acquaintances have not gone so far. But at the same time, ideas to be different. But at the same time, once in a while, we have to give in to the demand. Now, Ayodhya is so much in the news. Everybody's talking about it. There's a lot of curiosity. There's a lot of interest. So just, to be able to package Ayodhya in an offbeat way, I think first and foremost, we need to do a recce there. I understand that it's a new destination, so infrastructure is going to take some time to develop there. So not many hotels are available at the moment. We would also need good fleet of vehicles. We would need good language speaking guides. So once all these things are in place, I'm sure we would try to package Ayodhya in such a way that it's part of a bigger experience where you combine 2 or 3 destinations and we will do our best to give people Ayodhya in a different way. So same old wine, probably in a new bottle.
Prabhat. Now, Ankit, are hotels and travel agencies prepared to identify these travelers? And what should change in the way they operate today to encash upon this surge in spiritual tourism?
So, Gautam, thank you so much for having me on this panel, and really glad that we are having this discussion today in India, where we've identified this cohort of spiritual travel. I can tell you from my personal experience that one of our colleagues was here from Europe, visiting India for the first time. And the first thing she said once she met us in the office was, "How do I get to Rishikesh? And how do I get to these places where I can meditate?" And I have been very lucky to travel abroad a lot and also spend a lot of time. And a lot of people associate now India with meditation, spiritualism. And I think the current incumbent government is also now focusing a lot more on getting this developed, right? And Ayodhya is only a start of that. We've seen the kind of work that has happened on the Varanasi city in terms of developing it for tourism. I do believe that the hotels that exist today in these places are not that mature that they can have an expensive travel stack to tap demand. But there are simple hacks that they can do and easy to use softwares that are available even within Google, which gives out free link building options, a lot of guides on how you can run ads, how you can target ads. But with that, what is becoming extremely important is the change that they need to understand that demand is extremely uncertain, right? So it can come at any time, it can go out at any time, based on weather, based on any incident, based on any event. For example, that when with so many people landing in Ayodhya from different parts of the country, when we reported this first to the news, we actually reported that hotels in Lucknow were full and flight rates were almost as high by 121% in Lucknow, which is around 120 kilometers from Ayodhya. Similar trends were seen in Gorakhpur, in Varanasi.
Nearly in capital.
Right? So, so that is the thing that was happening, and that's what hotels will have to keep track of. And it's not easy to keep track of that. Bigger chains, bigger travel companies have very sophisticated softwares. But the good thing is with the likes of the panelists that we have today, we have these solutions that are available that you can tap into. The change that they need to do is get more digitally oriented, rely more on tracking intent, and use that to understand what might impact demand.
Okay. Now, Ashish, apart from the creator economy approach, which other tools or means are you deploying or are planning to deploy to cash in on this spiritual or religious tourism surge?
Gautam, this will be totally driven by what our customers are seeking in the spiritual and religious travel space. And I think the key, if we see India, digitization of hotel booking, flight booking is absolutely there. We do have a huge gap on experience booking, on what we do after we get to those places. So there are a lot of work that Alike is doing is to digitize those experience spaces. But specifically for the immediate horizon, what we are looking at is to bring together trip planning tools. Alike has recently launched a trip planner which allows you to not only plan your trip but book it on the same place on our platform. Because if you see these spiritual tourism places getting more infrastructure, more support to make the experiences better, the next phase is about these becoming circuits. So if you see UP having the golden triangle. Now we are talking about spiritual triangle with Prayagraj, Varanasi, and Ayodhya coming into play. So when people are going to these multiple destinations, it becomes important for them to plan their trips well, to have everything in one place. And this is where the tools that we are developing, Trip Planner and booking all in one platform for these kind of attractions, we believe will play a massive role. And in addition to that, we are now focusing on bringing content creators on board, which are focusing on this spiritual and religious space and showcase their content so people can easily book their spiritual and religious travel on platforms like ours.
Yes, that sounds, par for course. Now, Prabhat, spiritual religious tourism in India is mostly a domestic business prospect. So, what do you think is needed to draw in more and more foreign tourists or the Indian diaspora to the country's religious destinations, apart from such big ticket events like what's happened in Ayodhya?
So I think first and foremost, half of the job is done because Ayodhya has been widely talked about and covered by media all around the world. So I'm sure there's a lot of curiosity around. In terms of religious and spiritual tourism, as it is, when our inbound groups come to India, even if they are traveling in Rajasthan for 2 weeks or they're doing the Golden Triangle tour, we ensure, or we have often seen, that there is always a visit to places like Varanasi for 2 nights, or Rishikesh for a night or two, just to understand the deep-rooted spirituality and religion and culture in our country. So considering that all the itineraries feature a holy place or a place where there is a lot of spirituality evident all around, I think Ayodhya can be pitched in. But at the same time, like I said earlier, once we have done the recce, once we know how to position it, we would be able to do a lot of justice to the destination. I think it's going to take a little while because coming at this stage could be very overwhelming for the foreign tourists. There would be probably 100,000 people lined up just to get into the temple. So I think once everything slows down, once the infrastructure is in place, once the itineraries have been packaged, I think tour operators like us would actually go out of our way to make an effort to, bring foreign tourists to India to show them what Ayodhya is all about, especially for the architecture of the temple, for, the faith, the religion. So yes, I think the destination is definitely sellable, but we need to have better flight corrections. We need to have better, category of hotels, because not everybody who comes would be either a budget traveler or a luxury traveler. So we need hotels in different categories, and we need very knowledgeable guides and walk leaders to take them around and give them an in-depth knowledge about what Ayodhya is all about and what is our connection as an Indian. So yes, we look forward to promoting inbound tourism, and domestic, as it is, I'm sure, has started traveling there, and in the days to follow, I can see a lot of influx happening from all around to a
Makes
place
sense.
like
Makes
Ayodhya.
sense.
Yeah.
Now, Ankit, sudden surges like the one that we've seen with the Ram Temple inauguration also put a lot of pressure on travel websites and apps. In fact, on the entire travel and hospitality ecosystem. How does how can RateGain really help its clients cope with this sort of situation?
Yes, so this is something which is very normal to us. I'll give you a simple example, both of cancellations as well as bookings, right? The recent issue that happened and the recent conflict that we're seeing in West Asia, a lot of people would think that, you will see a dip in bookings for the Middle East. And we did see that, right? But actually we saw that a lot of traffic came back to book tourism in the Middle East right after 5 or 6 days. And we see that surge coming again and again. The way RateGain helps is, RateGain today works with almost 3,000 brands, and we get first-party data from around 300 plus brands, which also includes data from some of the biggest tourism boards in the world. And therefore, we are able to track almost 1.5 billion digital identities today, where we are able to tell them accurately, well in advance, when is their intent coming in for travel, where is this intent coming from, what kind of travel or what kind of traveler is looking at you. Is this a first-time traveler? Is this a solo traveler? Is this a family traveler? how much are they willing to spend, and all of that information is available both to tourism boards as well as OTAs, as well as hotels, as well as airlines. And they are using this to triangulate how do they spend, how do they allocate budgets, and how do they prepare their infrastructure to deal with such kind of research. So this is already something that we are solving for large brands. What we are trying to figure out now is how do we make it a level playing field and get it to the smaller brands and an independent hotel as well, because obviously their infrastructure needs are much smaller, and they don't have that kind of budget, right? So those are the challenges that we are looking at and are committed to solve for the travel industry, because we've had a lot of legacy technology issues in travel. And with the whole pandemic, a lot of technology, good technology talent actually got driven out of the industry. And that's a gap that Radian is committed to fulfill in the coming years.
Okay. Now, Ashish, platforms like yours can only take advantage of surges when the rest of the ecosystem is geared towards taking it on as well, in terms of being able to provide enough travel and stay facilities and opportunities. Now, are you engaging with the other players in this ecosystem to ensure that the best way forward is found and people don't get discouraged because they are not able to, book flights, trains or buses or rooms and cancel their travel plans altogether?
Absolutely. I think without solving the problem at an ecosystem level, we can never deliver the kind of experience we collectively want to deliver to the traveler. So as I had mentioned before, bookings for hotels, booking for flights are pretty well digitized in India. The options are available. People do book that properly. What we are seeing as a big gap in India currently is about booking experiences digitally. So you want to go to a place and you want to book a particular experience. This is not digital. Now, this is a challenge globally as well. We know around only 20% of experiences are digitized globally. You have to stand in a queue, get the tickets done otherwise, because these are run by very small operators. In India, we are talking about less than 5% or even less. So we are working to digitize this last mile where the experiences are available on apps, on websites, and somebody who is traveling that far, even from a spiritual tourism perspective, has got the confidence that once they reach there, they will get a travel experience they were looking for, and there are no last-minute nasty surprises. At the same time, as we see the significant surge, as in terms of Varanasi getting 8.5 crore visitors as compared to 85 lakh in Goa, this surge has to be managed. So this is where we are trying to work on digital solutions which can clearly tell the user which periods are where it is more crowded and where there are opportunities to visit at slightly better environment. So combine these things in terms of availability information, rush information, as well as digitization of last mile experiences. That is where we are working with ecosystem partners, smaller players, to help them get digitized and offer a better experience to the traveler.
Okay. Now, Prabhat, you've been organizing curated travel experiences to different parts of the world as well for Indian tourists. I'm sure spiritual or religious sites figure prominently among those itineraries as well. Now, what kind of best practices could be adopted from abroad to ensure that India also provides a world-class spiritual travel experience?
So yes, a lot of Indians have been traveling to far-flung places around the world. I mean, post-COVID, there has been a huge jump in international traveler. Many families who used to travel once a year are now traveling twice or even thrice a year. So it's a good news for a lot of outbound travelers like us. And I think a very small percentage of this volumes would actually go to a religious place. I mean, I have actually sent people to Italy who have not gone to the Vatican. And there have been people going to Italy to cycle around, to the wineries, to vineyards there. People have been going to Dolomites in Italy to hike. So I think it's a wrong conception when you say that religious tourism in other countries is as important as it would be in India, because India is seen as a very spiritual and.
But when you go to Istanbul, you visit the Hagia Sophia, and all those experiences you still pick up, right?
Yeah, so here also, again, there are two schools of thought. Yes, a lot of Indians travel overseas for different reasons. The religion part is, I think, a very small percentage of it. Similarly, when people come to India, though they come for different reasons, and when foreigners are coming to India, they never go for a stay put holiday. For example, when domestic travelers travel to Ayodhya, they would probably look at a 2-nighter or a 3-nighter. But when we are bringing inbound customers to India, they are looking at a complete itinerary. So, it would have probably a national park in it. It would have probably some cultural sites in it. It would probably have, a tryst with nature somewhere. So when
Okay.
we make
So
an
there have to be
itinerary for the
add-ons.
international traveler, it would be, different components together. For outbound traveler, it's like little different. So yes,
Okay.
I mean, the two
All right.
sets of
Got your
people.
point. Got your point. Now, Ankit, what else do you think could be done to ensure that our travel tech startups and the allied ecosystem takes the best advantage of this fervor which is building up for spiritual travel?
So the first thing that we need to do is we need to change our perspective of what we call travel tech, Gotham. And I want to be very respectful of your research team. Your research team showed a stat of there are three travel tech companies that are $1 billion in valuation. I actually want to suggest that there are four travel tech companies that are $1 billion, and RateGain is one of them.
All right. All right. Since you
Okay,
went public,
so
I think the valuations have changed.
yeah. So the point is,
Point taken.
and with all due respect, the point is that today the opportunity that we have in this country is a large base of in population that's inside the country that's hooked to cheap internet or free internet, cheap mobile phones, 5G, and are aspirational to travel and are also exposed to a lot of media and entertainment content, which also inspires them to travel. And therefore, we are in the hotbed of creating travel tech ecosystem. I almost feel that this is the underdog sector after fintech and everything that is e-commerce and everything that has come up. I feel that this is the next big thing that will come out of India. And the way we can do that is, as I said, today we work with almost 65 tourism boards outside of the country, which also includes large tourism boards of countries that drive a lot of spiritual travel, who are using companies like RateGain to look at what kind of preparation should I do for incoming travel, right? And therefore I feel that the government of India and the Ministry of Tourism should look at the travel tech sector beyond the 3-4 big brands that are known, and look at these sweet spots of tech ecosystem or tech players that have come up that use AI or that have a lot of data sitting on them, and that can help the government in multiple ways to build the ecosystem. For example, just understanding where should we build as much hotels, right? Prabhat made this point continuously that till the time we don't have flights and hotels going to that destination, your travel will not come in, right? And a lot of that information can come from platforms like theirs and platforms like RateGain that, okay, what are people searching for? Where do they want to come? How many times are they searching? Who are they searching? What kind of facility should we build? Which country is searching for it, right? And we can give that. So I think the government needs to reach out to even these smaller players and say, hey guys, what can you come and give us? Right? Even if you don't ask for money, a lot of people and a lot of entrepreneurs today building these startups are also very big patriots. They want to do something for the country. And if we do that, if we combine together and pool in all of this data, the wealth of information that the government of India will have and us as an ecosystem will have, the
Yes, I'm sure. I'm
blueprint.
sure with what is happening now, it will all come together because the government has been conscious of ensuring that because it's a big revenue earner, tourism and travel, especially if there are a lot of inbound travelers from abroad as well, and there will be progress in that area as well. We're seeing a lot of infrastructure being built in India. I'm sure that will happen across the country based on demand as well. Thanks a lot for joining us, Ankit and Prabhat, as well as Ashish, for talking about this ongoing process, and it will, I'm sure, make a lot of progress in the coming months and years.
Thanks, Gautam. Thanks.
Well, that's all we have for this edition of India Ideas tonight, but do keep watching DD India for all the latest.